All right, beautiful people. Thank you for coming today. This is Lora Thorson, and I am with Defenders USA. I'm one of the newest instructors there, and I'm really excited that you guys came to join me here today. Please give me some grace as this is my very first live. I hate to admit that out loud, but a lot of times the best way to do anything or get better at anything is just to jump in and do it. So I am going to try to lead by example here and be the front runner and see if we can pull this off and do a good job and help a lot of people along the way, because that's really why I'm doing this. Otherwise, I would not put myself in such an uncomfortable position right now. I must really love helping people. So give me some grace tonight and I'll do my very best. I have a little bit of beginning notes here I just want to go through, and then we're going to go into some introductions. So here's kind of the order of things tonight. And I'll try to keep on track. I don't want to keep you guys here all night. I want to do some introductions. I'm going to talk a little bit about my story and why we're here. And then I'm going to go into a little bit about some keys that I found to my success that I think will help you, not only as a shooter, but just as a human in general, a person in general. I think that if we all have things to share that we think can help others, then why not? So as you'll learn, if you're not a shooter already, once you get on a shooting journey, on a defender's journey, you'll learn that a lot of the personal growth and the shooting growth really is a parallel track. It goes hand in hand. So that's one of the things I've learned the most here recently. So after that, then I'm going to talk about your most powerful weapon. If you know what that is already, put it in the chat. Tell me what you think that is. And then after that, we'll go into the Q&A. So that being said, let's talk a little bit about my story, who I am. I won't take all night, I promise, guys. And then I will introduce you to a couple of people in my life that are really important to me. And then we'll move on from there. Sound good? All right. North Texas, Michigan. We don't have any Montanans here tonight. Crazy. Okay. So again, my name is Lora Thorson. I'm one of the newest instructors at Defenders USA. I'm located in Southwest Montana. I'm about an hour west of Bozeman, not too far from Yellowstone National Park, which is a huge attraction here, and love it here. And I'll be staying here if I can keep from moving anywhere else. I don't plan on going anywhere. Anyway, let me get into just a little bit about my story. In 2016, I had something happen to me that changed my life. And it wasn't a shooting incident or anything like that, but it could have very easily turned into that. At the time, I knew nothing about defending myself. I didn't know any of the stuff that I know now. I had grown up shooting and hunting, but that was about it. So when that incident happened in my life that could have very easily turned out to be tragic, but didn't, it woke me up in a huge way and made me go get training urgently. And what I didn't realize was all the people and wonderful places and people I would meet and go to along the way. And that's led me here. I never planned on doing this, guys. I never planned on becoming an instructor. It was not like a goal in my life or anything like that. I just have a real heart for sharing with other people, especially women. And I just found that I was able to do that easily, and that for some reason I could resonate with those people and they could learn a lot from me just on a personal level. I am a good shooter. I'm not the best in the world. The best in the world's in this room right now, but we'll talk about that here in a minute. But I'm a good shooter and I can teach you how to shoot. But that's not what it's all about. What we're really here for is we're going to try and help you in any way that we can along your defender's journey. And your defender's journey is about a lot more than shooting. It's about a mindset. It's about a heart set. It's about educating yourself to be safe in any environment and with any tools you have at your disposal. So there's a lot more to it. It's really more about being a defender than a shooter, but I'm good at helping bring those people along the way. So after that incident in 2016, I went and got training at one of the local shooting ranges called MTFI. You may have heard of it. It's in Three Forks. And after a while of being taken under the wing of those wonderful people, I was invited on as an instructor. And I had worked there for, I don't know, I really, the time like gets blurry after a while, but I would say a few years I've been an instructor there. And But then this past spring, I unexpectedly found this guy that was coming to Montana from Colorado. I had no clue who the guy was, but I knew he was doing training in Whitehall. And I thought, what the heck? It's like in my back door, basically. Why wouldn't I go to this training? I looked him up online. I'm like, wow, he's got like the longest list of credentials I've ever seen. I didn't even know what all of them meant at the time, but I thought, why not? Let's try this. So I went to this class just thinking I was going to a class, guys. I did not realize what I was getting myself into, but I met this person that literally changed my life and his team of people. And I've become a different person. I know that sounds really cliche, but the things that I've learned go so far beyond shooting. And I just have a huge passion to share that with other people. And that's the only reason that I'm here in front of the camera and not behind the camera, because that's usually my usual job is behind the camera and I like it there. So anyway, after meeting him, then, as they say, the rest is history. That's kind of how it happened. It happened way faster than I ever thought it could, but here I am. So that's how I got here. If you want to see my credentials, if you want to see my bio, go to the Defenders USA website, defenders-usa.com, and then go to the About page, and you'll be able to learn about the company's founder, Adam Winch, who happens to be on the call with us tonight. I'll be introducing here in a minute, and you can read about all the other instructors as well. So I don't need to take all the time and tell you all my stuff. We can move on, right? So I have a couple other people I want to introduce, really, really special, important people to me. The first person I want to introduce is the J in J&L training. My husband, Justin, he is coming in the room soon, I think, and he's going to pop in and say hi, right, Justin? The J in J&L training.
Hello, everyone.
Come up here because you're blurry.
Oh,
my camera is like a $5,000 camera, and so the blurriness is. Anyway, this is Justin. He and I teach together. We're both certified instructors, and he's more rifle guy than handgun guy, but he does handguns pretty well too.
I'll leave the pistol to you.
Yeah. So anyway, he's got my back. He's one of my biggest supporters, and I just wanted to introduce you guys to him because, without him, I wouldn't be able to do what I do. So really important part to me.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Don't forget to shut the door because the cat can't come in here. Okay. All right. And let's see, the next guy I want to introduce here. I mean, I don't know how to introduce this person. And I'm not going to cry because I am not a crier. You did not see that on Facebook, guys. I did not cry. His name is Adam Winch. He's the founder and owner of Defenders USA, which is not just a training company. It's a mission. It's so much more than meets the eye. So Adam, you've got the floor, my friend.
So I just learned something. You're a cat lady. You know what, Laura? I love cats too. Cats and bridges. Wow, they're great, right? So, anyways, I'm so proud of what you're doing here, folks. For those of you there, I'm Adam Winch. I founded and run Defenders USA. We also have another company called Crosswind Precision Marksmanship Academy, or Crosswind Precision. That's more of a dedicated long range school for those of you looking at the sniper stuff for the long range craft. But everything that's on marksman, Crosswind Precision is also on Defenders. My background is nothing big. You can see it on the Defenders USA website, but all I know is I came up and taught at Montana for the second year in a row now. In fact, I'll be back there, I think, the last couple of days of October and first couple of days of November to do about 6 or 8, 10 more days up there again. And they'll be up on our website soon. But in the spring, Laura showed up with another guy named Kyle, and boy, they were impressive. So, and as you guys, for those of you who know Laura, right, she's a tornado, she's a whirlwind. And it was so interesting to watch just already the high skill that was already there, her passion for this, and then her growth throughout I think we did 10 days, Laura, I think. We did 10 days of training, and just watching that growth and just watching watershed after watershed moment just hit her, and seeing lights come on in her eyes and everything. It was just very impressive. And very quickly, myself and the other instructors that were there, Dave, And another one, we sat there and just went, this is somebody that we really, really would love to bring on board, right? She's got the right heart, right passion that we do to really take this mission and bring it to others. Really, it's the ministry of teaching self-defense to others. And, I come from kind of the Christian background, the missionary background. And so this became a ministry and a mission a long time ago, both as a police officer and then full-time as a trainer. And whenever we find those that have the same type of mental mission, that same type of calling, if we can ever bring them in, and Lora was the guy, right? She was the girl. She was the person to bring in. And whenever you're the guy or you're the girl, you're the guy. So she came in, and I tell you, I'm just so impressed already. I'm looking forward to what she's going to do in the Montana area. And as we can drag her into more and more courses with us, I think that's going to be a great time. But anyways, Lora, you're doing great here. I'm going to step out, but welcome to everybody that's on her first podcast here or live stream. And I'm just so impressed.
All right. Thanks, Adam. All right. So let's move on from that here. And we're just going to talk a little bit about why we're here. And I think we've touched on that. I think you guys get it. But as I said before, we're here to grow people as defenders. We want you to be awesome, wonderful shooters. That's part of being a great defender. And that's the part that I'm, experienced at, but I'm learning and growing too. And I'm learning new things. And as I learn those things, I'm going to share those with you. We want to know, can you defend yourself if something were to happen? That's really the bottom line here. That's why we're here. So how about like in the chat, it would be good maybe if you guys could just kind of shout out, why you're here, what is it that you maybe would want to learn from going to these live streams? I mean, I just realized yesterday, I called this Defenders Weekly. That means I have to come on here every week at some capacity. So I need your guys' help so that I can make sure that I'm serving you the way that so that you're getting what you need, because otherwise there's no reason for me to be here. So if there's anything that you've been wondering about or you have a question about, throw it in the chat. We're going to get to the Q&A towards the end of this. Adam's going to help me out if need be. But we just want to make sure that we're serving you the best that we can. So at the end of the day, we need to make sure we can defend ourselves. Now let's talk about, in the chat too, talk about your goals and why you're here, but also just give me a brief idea of your skill level, of your shooting level. Are you a beginner? Have you never touched a gun before? Are you scared of guns? That's very common. Have you been shooting your whole life? Do you have any formal training? Those kinds of things. Because the more that I know about who is listening and who I'm talking to, the better I can accommodate you. Okay. So I'm going to it's not hippy dippy, but maybe a little bit. I want to get into personal growth just a little bit, because as I said before, personal growth and shooting growth are parallel. Whether you even think of it that way or not, doesn't matter. The more you shoot, the more you realize that they go hand in hand. All the things that you do in your life, your bad habits, your procrastination, you name it, it's all going to come through in the shooting too, guys. I'm telling you right now, it will. You're going to learn so much about yourself when you get into a good training class. It's going to blow your mind. And one of the things that's different about Defenders USA that I've noticed is that every class that we go through, that I've gone through, and I want to implement this into my classes too, we'll get into that here in a minute, is that there is always context behind why we're doing what we're doing. I don't know. There's some of my girls here from Maggie's. Shout out to the Maggies. But remember a couple weeks ago, girls, whenever I stopped everything and I just said, hey, listen, what are we doing here? Let's think about the reason that we're actually doing this drill right now. Why are we here? That's really important to know. It's really important to try to get into your training and into your mindset and keep that in the forefront of your mind, because I really don't think that you're going to get the full training out of something if you don't really know why you're doing it to begin with. And yeah, shooting's fun. We want to be better shooters just so we can, we're competitive, right? We want to be better than the next guy. I'm that way too. But at the end of the day, we have to remember why we're here. So anyway, I'll get off my soapbox about that. All right. So on the personal growth thing, just humor me a minute, guys, because these are the things, even just in the past 6 months, that I have had to remind myself. And one of these even today. Okay. 2 of them probably. These are good daily goals that you can set for yourself and just remember in your mind. Okay. The first thing is practice being uncomfortable. I am doing that right now. Okay. Practice being uncomfortable. What does that do? Tell me in the chat why that's important. Why is being uncomfortable important? The reason we want to be uncomfortable is because we want to stretch, we want to grow, we want to learn. And we can't do that if we're comfortable. Man, it's so nice to be comfortable though. Like, sitting in your shorts in the recliner and just like vegging out on the couch. Doesn't that feel good? Yeah, it feels good until you need to actually do something. And then you go try and run a mile, or you have to go like do whatever in real life, and you realize how out of shape you are. That's a real thing, right? There's more people coming in, guys. Sorry, I'm distracted by that. Okay, so practice being uncomfortable. Guys, that doesn't mean you have to get up tomorrow and you have to run a mile. Okay. That doesn't mean that you have to go and have like a really uncomfortable conversation or get online like I did, on a live stream. You don't have to like jump off the cliff or anything. Just practice being a little bit more uncomfortable than you were yesterday. Just do something that's like, whenever that thing in your head says, you know what? Yeah, I just want to stay comfortable. I don't really want to do that. Or if somebody's like telling you something, they're trying to help you, they're trying to teach you, especially like in a training class, for example, and they're trying to say, hey, how about you maybe try this instead of just being like, yeah, I already know how to do this. You don't have to tell me anything. Maybe just try to be uncomfortable for a little bit and try it out and just see. Maybe you might be surprised. It might work out for you. I'm just challenging you guys. I just want you to start kind of thinking that way, because the more you do that, before you ever even enter a training class, the better off you're going to be. Okay. Second thing, really important, show up for yourself. Have you heard that before? Show up for yourself every day. What that looks like to me is having discipline and having a plan, so that whenever I get up and I don't feel like doing whatever the thing is I need to do, whether it's dry fire or working out or whatever the thing is, I do it anyway. I show up for myself. And do you know why I show up for myself? The reason I do that is because I care about the people around me. If I am not in good physical, mental, and otherwise shape to be able to skill level and all of that, if I don't have those things intact, then I'm of no use to anybody if stuff starts hitting the fan. And I want to be the best absolute defender I can be in any possible situation. So that is why I show up for myself. Now, have I not shown up for myself? Oh yeah, you better believe it. I am not perfect, nowhere near. Okay. We've all been there, right? I mean, I know we have, but really focus on trying to show up for yourself every day and be honest with yourself about things. That's another really big thing. You know what, guys? We lie to ourselves all the time, and we can make excuses for everything under the sun. I mean, how do I know all this? Because I've done it, right? So be honest with yourself. If you're lying to yourself, you're probably lying to other people around you too. And that's just not being authentic. So do everything you can to be honest with yourself. Doesn't mean you need to beat yourself up. It just means that if something isn't going the way that you know that it should, that you can say, you know what? I don't really think that this is the way to go. I want to change this. I want to do it different. And then seek that help, that you may need to do that. But you got to be honest first. If you're not honest, then, you're not doing yourself any favors, or your family or loved ones. Okay. Another one, here's a big one, guys, for all of my accuracy first shooters that, I mean, you guys say it out loud, so I don't even have to guess how you talk to yourself on the range. But I've been guilty of it too. We got to talk to ourselves the same way that, someone that really cares about us would talk to ourselves. That's what our internal dialogue should be, right? Whether you're on the range or when you're just trying to do something hard, when you're in that uncomfortable space and those voices start coming in your head, you just need to shut them down and be kind to yourself. Give yourself some grace, give yourself some patience to learn new things. And if you don't have that in you when we're on the line, I'll help you be that for a while. I'll help that get into your head, and then hopefully some of it'll sink in whenever you leave. I've done that to a few of you. Okay. And the last thing, okay, before we get into your most powerful weapon, is do the work. Do the work. If you want to be good at whatever it is you want to be good at, you got to do it. And you have to show up and do it every day. Okay, that could be all kinds of different things. It doesn't have to be shooting, but if you want to get good at anything, you've got to show up and do the work. So those are just some things that, off the top of my head that I came up with. Adam, do you have anything to add to that?
Yes. So perseverance, right? Discipline. If you're going to carry a gun in defense of life or even have that mentality, it takes that disciplined mental lifestyle for the preservation of yourself and your family. So that means working those few dry fire reps a day to stay fresh, right? As a police officer for so long, almost before every shift, I do 10 solid dry fire reps before I strapped on the Batman suit and went out on duty, right? When I got done, I'd do the same thing. The idea is that drawing of the gun was a high litigious, high skilled moment that needed to be automated. So therefore that became a disciplined and natural practice. But I wouldn't say just in the gun world, that's the only thing you do. It's the same thing for everything else, right? Stay disciplined and focused on the areas that sustain you, that sustain your family, that grow your family, that grow your confidence, that grow your everything about you, right? As you're saying, show up for yourself. Stay disciplined in those, give it a small amount of reps every day so you're giving thought to it and process to it. And I think that's one of the keys to this, is stay disciplined and stay focused in it.
You do that so well, Adam. I get all jazzed up and wired up, and Adam's just like, oh, chill. I love it. I wish I could be like that. Okay. All right. I'm just reading some of the comments while Adam was talking. We've got someone from Florida here. That's so awesome. That's wonderful. Gloria, most powerful weapon. Okay. Did anybody get that? What your most powerful weapon is? Because that's our next topic here real quick. And then we'll go into Q&A after that. I don't see it on here. Oh, someone else just entered the room here. Hang on. I'm reading some of these guys because I really want to see what you're saying. All right. Chef C in Florida just started shooting 5 months ago, training and practicing as much as I can. Okay, great. I hope that you're getting some formal training. Sorry, we're getting more people. They're late to the party. Always striving to be better today than yesterday. Yes. All right. And then somebody's asking me about, am I showing up as the primary on the screen? Like when I talk, am I the primary person on the screen? Or is Adam? Okay, I am. Okay. All right. I don't know what that's all about then. So it's all good. Nancy, you got it. I should give an award to the people that get the questions right. Nancy says your most powerful weapon is your brain. Okay, that's true. Your attitude. Chef C says your attitude. Yeah, that's part of it. That's part of it. All right, let's get into that. I'm reading a couple of books right now. One of them is called Secrets of Mental Marksmanship. I have it right here. There's like a couple of them online. So I wanted to show you what the cover looks like so you can get the right one. But this is a really good book. It pertains not only to shooting, but to life. And I'm not going to get into the details of it here right now, but there's one little sentence here I wanted to read to you. It'll tie into where I'm going here. It says 80 to 90% of your physical performance will depend on how you think. When I read that for the first time, I was like, oh boy, that's crazy. 80 to 90% of your physical performance will depend on how you think. Wow. I mean, some of us have work to do, right? So I think that just means we can learn the skill all day long. We can have tons and tons of skill, but if we don't work on this, then we might not be as good as we can be. So your most powerful weapon is right here. Absolutely, without a doubt. Okay, let's see. Let me just give you some 3 steps to just be more safe in your everyday surroundings, because not everybody here maybe carries every day. Maybe you're not quite there yet. And maybe you're new to this and you're just thinking like, where do I even begin? Like, what can you do to help me just right out of the gate? Here's a few things that I can tell you. The first thing in the gun world that we call it situational awareness. Adam, I know you don't like that, but it's called situational awareness. What it really means is just paying attention to your surroundings. It sounds really, really simple and easy, but I bet if you really paid attention to your everyday interactions, like what you do when you're waiting for your gas to pump into your car, or what you do when you get out of the grocery store, you put the groceries in the car. What's the first thing you do when you get in the car? I bet you it is you get in, you shut the door, and you look at your phone. Am I right? Well, the reason I know that is because I had to kind of take inventory of what I was doing. Once I learned some of these things, I realized, wow, I'm really not paying attention as much as I should be. And I would venture to say that a vast majority of Americans pay very little attention to what's going on around them at any given time. It is shocking and almost scary how close we allow people to get to us in public areas. If you've ever been in a mall or even a grocery store, I mean, people are practically breathing down your neck, and we don't even think anything of that, guys. And when you think about what someone could do to you and how close they need to be to you in order to get to you, it's kind of scary. So the more that you pay attention, okay, so tell me, can somebody tell me why they think that paying attention would potentially save your life? What does paying attention do? Bueller. Buys you options. Catherine, very good. Gives you time. Yes, exactly. So if you're paying attention, then you could potentially see something out of the corner of your eye, or you could notice somebody that seems out of place, right, in your environment. Guys, we all have this. We have this intuition, especially us women. We have this intuition to know when something's off. Pay attention to your gut instinct. If something seems off, just go someplace else if you need to. Walk away from that situation. Whatever you need to do to remove yourself, or just get yourself in a better position, so to speak, so you can be aware even more of that person or whatever that situation is, right? What I would recommend is that you just remove yourself from it, you know? So paying attention is key. It's going to buy you time, and it's going to probably buy you distance, and distance and time are your friends when it comes to self-defense. You do not want to be ambushed. That's what predators do to prey, and you don't want to be prey. Okay. So let's see. Okay. So once you've kind of paid attention to your surroundings and you've kind of paid attention to your habits every day, another thing that a lot of people don't think about, unless you've had this training already, is running scenarios in your mind. When you go to a restaurant and you sit down at the table, which should be in a position, hopefully, where you can get away quickly, and also you can see what's going on everywhere around you, right? You should be able to run a scenario through your head, okay? Just means like, hey, if somebody came in that door right now and started shooting, what would I do? If I was coming out of the bathroom and somebody came after me, what would I do? Just little things like that. Make sure you run the scenario all the way through, guys, though. Make sure you run it all the way through and make sure that you win at the end of the scenario. It sounds really cheesy, but trust me. Okay. So running scenarios. Why do you think running scenarios could be advantageous? Remember, we're talking about this up here. Any ideas? How could that help you? I mean, let's say you've got all the skills in the world. You've been training and shooting. You're a very good shooter, but you've never really thought about what could happen. So how could running scenarios help you? So the reason scenarios are important is because, yes, reduces surprise factors, so you have a plan, so you're less likely to freeze or guess. This is true. Your body can't go where your mind has never been. If your mind's been there, at least you have something in your brain that can like be cued to go into action, so you don't freeze up. That's a big key. And after this next point, Adam, I'll open it up to you as well, and you can chime in if you want. I mean, It's not the Lora show. I mean, it's Defenders Weekly, not Lora Weekly. Okay. All right. So the last thing I want to tell you is do everything you can to avoid the situation, guys. Do not escalate a situation. It is not worth your life. It is not worth your family's life, you being in prison and not being around just so you can pretend like you're the big guy in the room, right? We got to be humble about this. We have to be smart. Having a gun on you does not give you permission to be a jerk. In fact, I highly recommend against it. I would say having a gun on you gives you a higher level of personal responsibility, moral responsibility, and otherwise. And you should take that very seriously, because I don't want to see any of you going to prison or having to go through the legal system. Adam knows all about that. He can speak to that. But the last thing I'll say, and then I'll hand it to you if you have anything to say, Adam, is only use your firearm as a last resort. Firearm is not a tool to threaten somebody with or to try to bluff somebody. It is only when your back's up against the wall and you have no other options. That's when you hopefully never have to, but have the right to use it and defend yourself. All right. I'm already tired of talking, you guys. Okay. Adam, anything to add?
So yeah, I'll jump in here. I'm actually going to go back to kind of what all you were saying. I've been writing some notes here, right? Talking about situational awareness is commonly known, right? To me, it's kind of a myth to be truly situationally aware, because it's impossible. We have two eyes and a 360-degree environment to truly pay attention to everything, right? So it's really paying attention to the things that are different. If your environment changes in a way that makes you feel something's just not right. And we all know what it's like when something is just not right. And I found here in first world countries that we Americans oftentimes become comfortable enough that we'll bury our heads in our cell phones. We'll walk around without paying attention to what's going on around us. And that's truly what the ambush predator is looking for, which the recidivist, right? The true bad guy is just an ambush predator. That's all they're doing. They're looking for the opportunistic attack, and they're looking for that person who's not paying attention. So really, it's not paying attention to constantly everything out there, because we can't live a paranoid lifestyle. And that's just so exhausting to do in the first place, right? That's living the cop's life. And until you've had to do that for a while, that is exhausting. But it's really just anytime your environment changes in any way that makes you feel uncomfortable or just seems odd to you, that's something to pay attention to. So really just listening to your senses of if your environment changes, which means you've got to generally have kind of a 360-degree environmental awareness of what's going on around you without the paranoid lifestyle, right? Just being like, okay, I'm pumping gas, everything's fine. But 5 minutes later, as you're finishing up, all of a sudden, Mr. and Mrs. Dirtbag show up in their hoopty, and it just doesn't seem right. Maybe they focused on you. Right now, it's time to pay attention to that type of thing. So really just paying attention to it. And anytime your klaxon goes off that says something's not right, is us taking the time to pay attention to that and not dismiss it mentally. I grew up in third world country, right, in the jungles of Africa, and I found that my African friends were very attuned to what was going on around them, because there was danger everywhere the second they stepped out of really their village. And so they became very attuned to what went on around them. But I found here in our first world countries, people are very relaxed and we don't pay attention to the bigger picture. So it's just really paying attention to the bigger picture. And really, you're just looking for the cues of danger. We all know that feeling when something doesn't feel right and it just doesn't settle the soul right, and it just catches your attention. And if that's the case, pay attention to those cues. Look for the bulging vein in somebody's neck or head or hands. Look for the hands that are flexing, right? Because Mr. Bad Guy is also prepping for attack. Bad people always give off cues. It's very, very rare. I found in my cop career, in the soldier career, it's very rare bad guys ever, or people just attack without any pre-cues. The pre-cues always come because they're preparing for a large moment for them too, which is attacking another human being. The only time you don't find cues, I found in my experience, was when somebody is on drugs and you just walked up to them and didn't pay attention to them. They're sitting there quiet and then they explode. Or maybe there's somebody who has a a different mental balance than the average person. And then they can just go off, they can spin off. So everyone else, the standard ambush predator, always gives off cues. And really you're just looking for the cues that are there that aren't natural. And if you'll pay attention to what's non-natural into those cues, you have a higher likelihood of avoiding the fight in the first place. And as Lora is basically saying, right, what's the best fight you would ever get yourself into? The one you avoid in the first place, right? Because you saw it in the first place, therefore you can get away with it, right? And though we might carry guns or we carry pepper spray or a baseball bat in the car, the last thing you want to do is employ that thing. And the way to avoid it is see danger first before danger gets to you, right? So we'll look for that sense of evil. Listen to your gut, listen to your instincts. I think that's something I think, as Lora has said, like the vast majority of Americans don't seem to pay attention to our guts anymore. We've lived comfortable lifestyles. And I think that if you hone it and spend time looking around for things that seem odd and weird, you're starting to hone your perception of your situation around you to where, like a muscle, it grows. So anytime you can start looking for things that seem off, and then maybe put a car between you and things that seem weird, or maybe put a grocery cart between you and things or people that seem weird, or maybe, you know what, I've walked down this grocery aisle and something seems weird about that odd person there. Maybe I'll go to the next aisle and come back to this later once they vacate that, something like that, right? Be willing to walk away from things if it just makes you feel a little weird. Again, it's not living paranoid. It's just going, you know what? I want to avoid it in the first place if I can. There's no reason to put myself into something that could be questionably odd. Therefore, I'll go away until I know it's okay. Next, somebody mentioned in the chats the if-then drills. I get that. We use that in the military world, in the police world, in the SWAT world all the time. If-then, meaning if something happened, then I'll do this. But if this happens, then I'll do it this way. And as it changed, then I'll do this. I'd like to try to get the gun world to kind of reterm it as when then. Instead of if then, it's when then, right? Because somebody even in this chat here, at some point in time, your day is coming. Somebody in this chat room right here is coming, right? Your day of evil visiting you will come to somebody in our lifetime. So it's really more looking at when then instead of if then, because I want you to mentally prepare for the fact it most likely will come at some point in your lifetime. Therefore, you've got to prepare for it. When I see people do the if-then drills, which is the common terminology, oftentimes people stand there and freeze when it does happen, because though they might have said, if it happens, I'll do this, but they don't really believe it'll happen. I want you to believe it can happen to you. Therefore, if I could change the terminology of when then, when this happens, I will then do this. And as it changes this way, then I will do this. But if it's this way, then I will do that. And if we can change that terminology and realize it's coming someday. For somebody in this room, it is absolutely coming. So changing that mindset, I think, is a good idea. And then she mentioned too, like you go to a restaurant, right? You sit with your back to the door, whatever it may be. Can I really add to that and say, start looking at it from the bad guy perspective. If you've gone into a place, a store, a restaurant, I don't know, you're at the park, wherever it is you go, look at it from the bad guy perspective, that if you were the bad guy, if you were to come into, let's say, a restaurant that you're at, where is the flow of the natural bad guy? Most bad guys are right-handed, right? It's just how it is, right? God loves us right-handers, not too many left-handers. So therefore, most of us right-handers, we tend to, when we open doors, depending on how the door opens, flow to a certain area. So therefore, you've got to think, okay, bad guy is going to probably come in this way, probably a right-handed person come in here. Now, can I sit myself, my observation point, offline from where the most likely attack is to happen? Does that make sense? Really, from the active shooter perspective, you're always going, okay, and if I was the bad guy and I was going to attack this place or attack myself at this place, how would I approach me and how would I do that? Once you learn to do that, now you start learning to position yourself in ways to where you're always at the best advantage. So you're not put yourself in the ambush cone of a bad guy. So you can always be offline from where the bad guy might come from. Does that make sense? So really kind of just always setting yourself up offline from where the natural point of attack would be, or natural approach point for a bad guy could come from. And then also she mentioned, be ready to win within your mind, right? To not only work through these situations of when then, but always come to the conclusion of when. I found that was important in the let's say the dynamic world that I was in. It was always important to always win, right? Treat yourself with one, the respect you deserve in your training, but always conclude in your training that I'm going to win this, and how this is how I'm going to win it, and this is even how I'm going to feel when I win it, right? That I'm going to be glad that I dominated that situation, that it was right and righteous for me to dominate that situation, to win that, and I'm going to be okay with winning, even violently if I have to, but I'm going to win for the betterment of my own people and for my own survival. So go that further route of celebrating that win in your mind, not just see the win, but celebrate the win in your mind. And this doesn't apply to the gun world, it applies to everything else. And everything you do, whether it's business, loving your husband, your wife, your kids, whatever it is, better, always win in that case and learn how to do so it applies to everything you do. Then further, right, she talked about how does scenarios help. The more realistic you can make the scenarios, and I'm not talking, right, the Martians are invading, the zombies are coming, I'm not talking ridiculous stuff. Look at it in the context of your life. We all live different lives. Lora obviously is a cat lady, sits around, pets cats all the time, right? So maybe in her cat life area, she has a different lifestyle than I do, who's a dog lover. So maybe when I look at it from the aspect of I'm out walking my dog, because cat people can't walk their people or walk their cats. When I'm out walking my dog, if I get approached by the pit bull or Mr. Bad Guy or whatever it is, how am I going to be on this? How am I going to act and react on this? Or when I pump gas, because I pump gas this way, I'm going to do this. Or let's take Casey here, right? Casey's sitting on here, and her hunka burning love, her husband is a firefighter, right? So his life might revolve around firefighting. If he gets in a firefighting incident where somebody attacks him, which does happen, how would he defend himself versus Casey, who's really a work-at-home mom who does some pretty cool stuff online, by the way. How should she defend herself if she gets attacked in her home? Or let's say Patricia here, right? She's running around doing her stuff in Montana. The attack that might happen to her is going to be different than the attack that might happen to Casey or to me or to Laura. We all live different lives. Find the realistic scenarios and the most likely places you're to be attacked in, and start envisioning win-then drills in the context of your lifestyle, not just somebody else's out there. I have personally 12 different scenarios that I've built up in my mind. I've worked them through on the with-then drill in a million different scenarios all the way through. And guess what? I've had to use 4 of those at different times in my life. And I'm only here today because I thought them through to nuance. So I'm asking you to do the same thing. Take your lifestyle that's different than everybody else's and start realistically thinking it through, and when then drilling this thing to the depth you possibly can. Next, something Laura brought up is ego takes a back seat, right? If you carry a gun, you strap on a knife, you carry a pepper spray, ego takes a back seat to this. For us guys on this thing, I think we could learn from the ladies. Right? Ladies don't tend to puff up their chest and get all mad and jump into the bar fight. It's us dudes that do that, right? Ladies tend to go, you know what? I'm not going to jump into that bar fight. I think if we men learned from the women that, hey, we don't have to worry about our egos in this thing, we would oftentimes tame down some things that tragically go violent. So ego has to go to the back seat on everything the second you strap on a gun, or really take on the defender's mindset. And I think in this group that's probably a natural thing, but just to reinforce it, I wanted to say that. Next, she talked about what I call the 4 friends, right? She talked about always having an exit. I would tell you your 4 friends are time, distance, barriers, and an exit, right? If you can always in your when-then drills set up to wherever it is you're at, that you've always set yourself up for, okay, this is the position that's giving me the most time to respond to a sudden unexpected attack, or this is the best place that might be able to buy me more distance or give me as much distance as possible, right? And time or distance are somewhat corollary to each other, but also what's my barriers, right? In the what is it, Greenwood Mall shooting that happened in Indiana a couple of days ago, it sounds like Mr. Hero, Mr. Dickinson, or whatever his name is, ran up out of a bathroom, putting himself behind a large post, stabilizing on the post and making shot. He used a barrier to make him smell a smaller target. Anytime you can put big things between you and bad people, the better off you are, the more it buys you time and distance to, in a sense, but barriers are massively helpful, right? If I lived in Laura's house and I was Laura, I'd put maybe big old Justin between me and the bad guy. He's a great barrier, right? Or better yet, maybe cars, posts, gas pumps, anything else. Always find barriers. And next, time distance barriers and an exit. Your next best friend is always an exit. Have a way to go away, because the best fight you'll ever get into is the one you avoid in the first place. Preferably, even if you have to, because your situational awareness failed you, the one you run away from, right? So again, ego has no balance to the gun carrier. We should be willing to run from the fight because we're not in an offensive mindset. So I didn't mean to throw a lot at you, but I figured, Laura, if you don't mind, that I'd just pack into what you said there, because I thought you did it really well, and I'll get out of your hair.
Thanks, Adam. Yeah, he's so good at getting into the detail, the nuances of all those things. Whereas sometimes I stay top level and I just keep skimming on the surface and just keep going. All right. Yeah, I told everybody I love dogs. I love dogs. It's my daughter that loves cats. She has this series of books called Warrior Cats. Isn't that cool? Warrior Cats. And she's obsessed with cats now. And so we just got a new kitten last week. And every time he comes in here, he jumps up on the desk and like tries to eat the cord. So no, I'm a dog person. Anyway, I just want to state that for the record. All right. Moving on. All right. So we're almost to the Q&A. We'll do that really quick. But first of all, if you guys have to leave, totally get that. If you want to stick around for the Q&A, we would absolutely love that. We'll answer any questions that we can. But I just want to say really quickly, hey guys, I have classes coming up in Montana, Cardwell, Montana, to be exact. First class will be August 20th. Not the first class I've ever taught, but the first class through Defenders. Just to be clear, it's a handgun fundamentals class, and we have a couple more in September coming up in Montana. If you want to take a look at that, go to the schedule of upcoming courses at defenders-usa.com and go to upcoming courses. Super stoked about that, guys. Also, I want to let you know that I will be also doing private lessons. If you guys aren't really into the group setting and you're like, you know what, I just need some one-on-one time with you. I got to get some stuff straight. The whole group thing kind of intimidates me. I will absolutely help you with private lessons. And also I'm going to offer digital lessons as well. So it'll be just me and you on a Zoom call, and let's work out some of this stuff before we even get you into a class. Maybe that will be helpful for you as well. Maybe you have a ton of questions you need answered. Whatever that might be, I'm open to that as well. So just know, if you need any help, I'm here. You can always reply to the emails I send you, and I'm here for you. The next live stream is going to be next Wednesday. Again, Defenders Weekly. It's every Wednesday. It'll be at 7 p.m. again. And if you've found this to be valuable, make sure that you invite others, tell them about it, share it, whatever it is that you can do. If there's anybody in your life where you're like, you know what, they really need to hear this information, please invite them to join and invite them to join us next time. Last thing I'll say before the Q&A starts is, if you're looking for free information, that's really good information, guys, I'm telling you, you shouldn't just trust anybody with this information. If they're not credible and they don't have the training or the skills or the background or the experience, and how would you even know that, right? You shouldn't listen to everybody that you hear. There's a lot of people on the internet, and they're not always good sources. So here are some good places you can go to get good information. Watch Active Self-Protection on YouTube. They have a pile of videos on there of real life things that have gone down. He breaks it down step by step as to what happened, what they did right, what they did wrong. And you can learn a ton from watching those. Active Self-Protection. Oh my gosh, who is that? Sorry, dogs distract me. And then also he has, John Correa has Active Self-Protection Extra, which is a channel more for shooters. And it's more of a skills-based channel, but it's really good. He has some really good instructors on there. So I would very much encourage you to look at that. The Complete Combatant is also another good channel. He's on Active Self-Protection Extra, Brian Hill. And then, of course, don't forget to go to Defenders USA YouTube channel. Casey, of course, I said that. I would not forget Defenders USA YouTube channel, and make sure you like and subscribe there. All right, we're going to get into the Q&A portion of the live stream. So if you have any questions, please go ahead and put those into the chat. And we're going to be wrapping up here pretty soon. I can't believe that I actually flapped my jaws this long, guys. It's crazy that you're even still here. I don't even know what's happening right now. I think I'll be literally going to bed, straight to bed after this. Okay, will the same link work next week? No, I will be sending you a new link next week. That's a good question. Adam, you have a question from Catherine. Will you be at ASPNC?
Yes, I'll be at the national conference. I think I'm teaching the ground fighting courses that I taught AGAG conference. And I think another one is defensive options. That one's a classroom based one. I think something else, but I'm not sure what else at this point.
Oh no, Adam. Did you see the one that says, did John actually beat Adam?
He crushed me.
You're never going to live that down. So that's a video. Let's see. That's on your YouTube channel, right, Adam? Yeah. He did a little competition, friendly competition with a couple other instructors. Adam did on the Defenders USA channel. It is one of the best videos I've seen in a while. It's just three guys just razzing each other and just having friendly competition. But Adam got beat. Yeah. And he took it pretty well. You did well. But yeah, he did. Okay. Any advice on how to begin a conversation with a pastor about establishing a church security team? I think, Adam, you might be best to take this one.
So here's the hard part, is convincing churches and pastors to do this, right? It takes away from their already meager budget. Churches oftentimes I find are already so inundated with all the activities and all. To them, it's just one more thing that's usually of non-interest to churches or pastors. It's going to take a real appeal to their understanding of the world situation. I think one of the things you can do is point out to them in the scriptures how even Christ himself asked almost 20% of his disciples, right? 12 disciples. He asked at least 2 of them to sell their coat, right? Their cloak at the time, to go buy the defensive weapons of the era, right? If they didn't even have the of the era. So maybe on the pointing out how the Bible even says, how Christ himself is really advocating the defense of life, right? It's not an attack. It's just really the defense of life. And it's never in defense of religious beliefs, right? That's a different thing. If you want to go back on the Defenders USA YouTube channel back to Thanksgiving 2 or so years ago, my dad as a pastor addressed this really well. So it's not for defense against religious persecution. It's defense against maybe the active shooter in a church. It's a righteous moral thing. So maybe looking at it from the perspective of how Christ himself even advocated the arm themselves for the defense of life. I appeal to them. The other one is just showing them kind of the attacks that happen in churches. One of the good resources to look into is the faith-based security network, sorts of stats of the weekly ongoing attacks or bad things that happen in churches across America, which is massive. It's humongous. And if you can show them that of what it's very likely to happen, oftentimes you'll be able to catch pastors' attention. But understand, it's very hard to get clergy to pay attention to this message unless it's something innate in themselves, and it's going to take some work on your part to do.
I don't know about you guys, but the internet was really messing with me on that. I heard bits and pieces of what Adam was saying. I don't know if it was my internet or his, but all right. Anything else we want to go over here real quick? Does anyone else have any questions? While we're waiting, if there's not any more, I just wanted to say, hey guys, I'm new to this, if you haven't figured that out already, and I would really love to hear your feedback. Good, bad, ugly, indifferent, whatever it is. shoot me an email back from one of the emails I sent you and just say, hey, next time I'd really like to hear about this, or hey, I noticed you picked your nose a lot, or whatever the thing is. I would love to know. I need feedback, because that's the only way I'm going to get any better and be able to help you guys out. And that's really what I want to do. I don't see any other questions, so I think we're going to wrap it up. We've hit right at just an hour, which is shocking. But if you need anything in the meantime before next week, feel free to reach out to me. Adam, thank you so much for being here and helping out. I really appreciate it. We had a great turnout tonight. And thank all of you guys for your wonderful interactions in the chat. I cannot wait to see all of you, hopefully train with some of you, and we'll see you again next week. All right.